What's up, everybody? It's your boy Panic Knife here with thealphagamer.com, and today I'm going to be taking down the second boss in Terror from Beyond, Star Wars The Old Republic's brand new operation. This is the hard mode version, and I'm going to do it a little bit differently this time. We're just going to talk about what's going on screen. First of all, the first thing you need to know is the tanks are going to be on. We have them set up where High Rod is the target, Cephas is the lightning, and I forget what the other dude's name is. He's fire. That's the order you're going to go in. You're going to kill target first, then lightning, then fire. Now, target, High Rod, is not tankable. So the tanks are going to take out, one of them is going to go with lightning, the other one's going to go with fire. When they get 5 stacks of the debuffs, each of them is going to switch, and that's pretty much that mechanic. Now, the DPS is going to, DPS to their heart's content on target. You don't need to worry about pulling aggro or anything like that, because obviously, if he's not tankable, he's just going to attack random people anyway. Now, the mechanics that go on here are going to be pretty easy, but you're going to need to make sure that you're targeting the right people. He'll do there's like an announcement on the screen where it says that he begins to cast Surging Chain. At that point, you're going to have to switch over to who's Lightning, which is, I think, Cephas, and basically DPS him until the shield goes down. You'll see it kind of blow up on screen, and at that point you're going to interrupt Surging Chain, return back to target, which is High Rod. The other mechanic that it happens in this first phase is that he'll do like a chain lightning. I think it's called a lightning field. Basically, you just need to have everybody spread out completely, because if you're close to another guy, it'll amplify the damage, and it already does a hell of a lot of DPS to you. Well, not per second, but it does a pretty big amount of damage to you. I think it does like 14,000 damage. And if you're closer to people, it gets even worse. So just make sure you spread out and then return to the center for AoE heals and get back on the boss. Now, it's pretty easy to forget to interrupt the Surging Chain, so that's the biggest thing that I would recommend here in this first encounter. Now, you're going to want to have probably one healer take the raid and one healer take both of the tanks. They don't take a ton of damage in this fight, and it's actually not that difficult of a fight for tanks. Now, here we are in the second phase. We're taking on Cephas, and one thing you'll notice is that you'll see sort of a debuff come up in your bar, and then a bunch of our dummy just walked through the AoE there. If you just watched, that was a guy we picked up because we didn't have enough people in our raid. But if you look at me right here, I have the debuff on me. There's like things circling around you, and then you drop an acid pool on the ground. First of all, don't walk through the acid pools. It's pretty obvious. You need to make sure that you're watching all around you, that the people in the raid aren't getting you stuck in those pools, because you need those pools up for when he does this thing called Doom. It'll say Cephas dooms whatever your name is. At that point, you're going to have to run through 3 acid pools to get rid of the debuff, because otherwise it's going to be pretty much you can't really catch up with it. It's a huge debuff. The other mechanic that Cephas does is he'll jump to somebody in the party. It seems to be random, and he'll do a thing. It says, see, here is the Doom mechanic here if you want to watch it. You just run through those pools, it gets rid of it. And make sure that the debuff goes away in your bar too. But yeah, he'll do a strangle mechanic, which is does a lot of damage to people. You need to interrupt that right away. One of the best ways to interrupt it is if you have any kind of Sith warriors in your party. If they jump to him, it'll get rid of it. So you just saw that mechanic right there. Otherwise, pretty much just burn him down. He doesn't do a lot of raid damage other than strangle and other than these AoEs. So make sure you stack for AoE or stack for heals as much as possible. Burn down the boss. No big deal. There's not really a big danger of pulling off of him at this point. Your tank should have built up so much aggro that it's going to be really tough to pull at this point. But if you do, make sure you get the tank to retaunt as soon as possible. So he is almost down at this point. I'm telling you, it's kind of funny. You have to watch that the shit like surrounding your raid's heads. If that thing spins around their head, you need to move away. Also, if you're the guy, and I didn't do it very well here, but if you're the guy that has that surrounding you, you need to make sure you move away from the raid. I've gotten a lot better at that the last couple times we've run this. It's actually not that difficult of a fight in all. Okay, so we took down Cephas, and now we're on Kel'sara. I couldn't remember Kel'sara's name. It's actually a chick. This one is kind of interesting. Those green pools do stay up, so you need to make sure you stay away from it. And she will do this thing called Force Leech. When Force Leech on a tank happens, you can't heal that tank, so that they need to swap immediately until Force Leech wears off, at which point she'll cast it again, and you'll basically do a swap that way. You need to make sure you don't take any damage at that point, because if you do, you're fucked. You can't take heals after all. Now, they'll do this thing called, I think it's like Doom or something like that on a person. You need to make sure you move the hell away from it, this yellow line there. Just run away from them. Not that big of a deal. It's the same mechanic as hard mode, or as story mode. Now, the difference is she'll have this, she'll summon Legionnaires to come after them. There's going to be one that's all the way to the right. That's the one you need to kill first, because he'll cast a massive group AoE that will it'll be impossible for the healers to keep up, and it's not dispellable either. Now he'll some of these Legionnaires, the other three, I think there are 4 total that spawn. The other 3, if you are sort of stacked together, it'll cast a Wither, just like, you know, the assassin ability, which will do pretty significant AoE damage. You need to call out to your healers to make sure that they know that you've got it, so they know that they have to help you out, and make sure that, you know, you don't go down at that point, because you're going to need all the DPS you can get, because Kel'sara, I mean, this sort of turns into a DPS race. Otherwise, see, I have Wither right now, and you can see it's doing pretty significant damage to me. It's like 2,000 a tick. Now, she marked me for death. Here's a good example of what you just need to do is run away. Make sure that you kind of just keep going. You know, you're not going to be able to do a whole lot of DPS. I think my healer pulled me there to sort of, I was getting close to the wall there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Make sure you take down the ads. Make sure you just burn the boss, and you win. Your reward for this is your first piece of Dreadguard gear, which is, I believe, gloves, and you know, black hole comms, all that good stuff. So, GG. If you have any kind of a decently coordinated group, you should be able to finish this boss fight, and that's about it. So hopefully we'll have a video about Operator 9 pretty soon, and we'll be able to give you the rundown on that. Anyway, with theawfulgamer.com, this is your boy Panic Knife. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and have a good night.
Alright, Archit's fired.
Yeah, that was pretty easy. Good job, guys.